Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics using the most direct sources. Today, we're diving into artificial intelligence, but probably not in the way you're thinking. Forget the last few years. We're going to go on a journey that starts thousands of years before a single computer even existed.
You know, with tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney just exploding onto the scene, it's so easy to think that AI is this brand new thing, right? Like some futuristic phenomenon that just popped into existence overnight.
Well, think again. What if I told you that's not the whole story? I mean, not even close. The source material we're looking at today tells a way deeper and, honestly, a much more surprising story.
All right, so let's jump right in. The thing is, what we're calling AI today, it's actually just the latest chapter in a really old story. It's the modern version of this ancient cross-cultural human quest to create artificial life, to create intelligence itself. So this dream didn't start with silicon chips. It started with myths. Way back in ancient Greece, you had stories about Hephaestus, the god of invention. He supposedly forged Talos, this giant bronze automaton, basically a robot, that guarded the island of Crete. And he didn't stop there. He also created Pandora, who wasn't just some innocent woman in the myth, but was described as an artificial evil woman who was literally programmed for a destructive mission.
And get this fascination wasn't just a Greek thing. Over in ancient China, there's a Taoist text that tells this incredible story about an engineer named Yan Shi. He shows up to King Mu of Zhao's court and presents a mechanical man that's so lifelike it could walk and sing. The king, probably a little freaked out, has it taken apart, and inside, they find these incredibly intricate artificial internal organs. Wild, right?
This idea was everywhere. Even in the Americas, the Mayan creation story, the Popol Vuh, it honestly reads like a modern AI development log. Seriously, it talks about creator gods making the first humans out of wood. Think of them as prototypes. They could function, but they had no minds, no memory. Then, when a later version of humanity became too smart, the gods actually had to nerf them, limit their vision. It's like the very first AI control problem in recorded history.
So what's really amazing when you look at all this together is that it shows this wasn't some one-off idea. It was a shared human fascination. You see it from automated soldiers in India to the deep dives into logic during the Islamic Golden Age. The dream of AI wasn't isolated. It was this fundamental human impulse that just kept popping up, independently, all over the ancient world.
Okay, so how do we get from these ancient myths to actual thinking machines? Well, the journey needed two key ingredients that took centuries to develop. First, a way to formalize logic, and second, the actual mechanics of computation.
And you can see that incredible intellectual chain of events right here. It really starts with thinkers like Aristotle, who were trying to pin down the actual rules of a logical argument. From there, you get a direct line to someone like Leibniz, who dreamed of creating a universal language just for calculation. And all of that thought eventually led to the mathematical and theoretical machines that are the ancestors of everything we use today.
But one of the most crucial leaps on that entire timeline, that came from George Boole. He's the guy who finally cracked the code, who turned all that philosophical logic into a rock-solid mathematical system. His Boolean algebra, using ones and zeros for true and false, that became the fundamental language that every single modern digital computer speaks. It's the bedrock of everything.
So while Charles Babbage was busy designing the hardware for his amazing steam-powered analytical engine, his collaborator, Ada Lovelace, was the one who saw its true soul. She realized it wasn't just a glorified calculator. No, she envisioned it manipulating any kind of symbol, like musical notes or letters, and right there in her notes, she wrote out what we now consider to be the world's very first computer program.
And yet, even as she was literally inventing computer programming, Lovelace framed a core debate about AI that we are still having today. It's called the Lovelace objection, and with it, she questioned whether a machine could ever truly be creative or, originate an idea on its own. That skepticism, it echoes directly in our conversations about generative AI right now. So, with the theory and the basic concepts for the hardware in place, the 20th century finally saw the formal birth of AI as its own field, and this led to a massive shift in how researchers actually tried to build an intelligent machine.
Early AI, which people now kind of playfully call good old-fashioned AI or GoFi, was all about rules. It was like trying to teach a child by writing down a rule for every single possible situation in life. You know, a giant list of if this, then that. But that approach was super brittle. It just couldn't handle the real world. So the whole paradigm shifted to machine learning, where instead of giving the system rules, you give it tons of data and let it figure out the patterns for itself.
But here's the thing. Progress was anything but a straight line. The field went through these wild cycles of hype and disappointment. You'd have a boom where there was tons of optimism and funding, and everyone thought AGI was just around the corner. And then, a bust. They called them AI winters, when the tech just couldn't deliver on the huge promises, and all the research funding would freeze up.
And then came 2012. Just 2012. It was a single moment that changed absolutely everything. A deep learning model named AlexNet just shattered all the records in a big image recognition competition. That single event kicked off the modern AI revolution we're living in right now. It's a direct line from AlexNet to the tools we're all using today.
So, after all that history, where does this ancient quest go next? Well, the next frontier might involve a totally new kind of machine, the quantum computer.
Okay, so quantum computers play by a completely different rulebook than the one in your phone or laptop. See, your computer uses classical bits, which are always either a 0 or a 1. Simple enough. But quantum computers use something called a qubit. And here's the mind-bending part. Thanks to a wild quantum principle called superposition, a qubit can be a 0, a 1, or both at the same time. That one little trick unlocks an insane amount of parallel processing power.
So what does that mean for AI? Well, it means we could potentially solve problems that are just flat out impossible for the computers we have now. We're talking about things like designing brand new drugs by perfectly simulating molecules from the ground up, or solving optimization problems that have billions of variables. That's the incredible promise of quantum AI.
All right, let's bring this all together. Understanding this incredibly long journey, from ancient myths all the way to machine learning, gives us some really vital context for what's happening right now. It helps us make sense of these powerful AI tools that are literally reshaping our world as we speak.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a 20-year tech story, is it? It's a 3,000-year human story. It's the story of us, of humanity, trying to understand the most mysterious thing in the entire universe, our own intelligence. And all along, we've been asking, could we ever build something like that ourselves?
And maybe that's the real takeaway here. All of our modern hopes and, yeah, our modern fears about AI, its incredible potential for good, the scary risks, what it even is, none of these feelings are actually new. They're just the latest chapter in a conversation that humanity has been having with itself for thousands and thousands of years.